beer?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we have.
Have a shot.
No.
You want a scotch?
No.
You know what? I
No,
recommend.
thank you.
I recommend the vodka with the cranberry juice that they get delivered here. It's
Yeah, if you
amazing.
want that, I'll take that.
You got a bag of soil with like your logo and shit on it?
I got it. The Black 13's up there on your island.
I recommend the Grey Goose with that cranberry juice. It's unbelievable. Want me to make you one?
Yeah,
I'll make you one.
We're circling back.
Want me to make you one?
Yeah, if you want, if you can.
Well,
Hey, Rob, I'm gonna need you to help fill out that fucking information for the fucking. The hobby master.
Rob wants a boover.
I just fucked you all up. It's all fucking- Hey, you can't see it over there.
I know. Wait 1 second, Papa.
I thought I needed a haircut. You need one too. Probably should wear one of your hats today. Are we on?
Yeah. Everything's rolling.
Damn.
Why don't you go let one rip over there?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, hey, it's heavy. You better stay over there for a few minutes.
Am I gonna be rocking?
No, I didn't put too much vodka in it.
That's all right.
Do you like the cranberry juice? Isn't it delicious?
This from the box?
Hey, we were talking about
Yeah.
that, right?
Why is that
That cranberry juice is delicious.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Jesus fucking Christ.
My Yoda.
Hey, that glass looks like should come up with some smaller glasses around it.
Yeah, leave it.
Might
So
not-
what's the
might
size
not
loads
finish
that
this
people
interview.
order from you? Do they order bags? Do you got like grandma and grandpa ordering soil from you for their like
so
vegetables and shit?
What I do, it's like what these guys have done. I have like 2 customers that have been lifelong customers that I'll sell to in bulk, but they buy like a yard or 2 and that's it. Everybody else,
Is there people out there that you would go get this stuff from?
yeah.
If
And there is. I mean, I'm not the.
Fucking terrible.
I don't put myself like on that pedestal. There are really good compost companies out there.
What?
well, no, we're gonna put you on there. Yeah. Yeah.
For what?
Yeah. What are we talking about? Hey, cut that.
Oh no, give
cut
that.
last
Lee's
section
got
over.
it. The apple one.
B-roll that shit. Let's go.
Yeah. Like neon. Out the mud. Before I get it out the mud, I stay on top of my fitness and hit the shower, clean it up, and then get back to the business. I don't care about who did it, I ain't worried who didn't. I head directly to the back, so I'll be there in a minute. I got expensive taste. The rollie got a different face, for surely I be in them places they won't let you pass the gate. Post it up, sipping $1,000 scotches with the rock in it. Look.
Before we get into the stories of some of the bad apples that you went through, what type of material you got, we got to introduce you. Episode 12, the How You Doing show. Jeff from New England Compost from Danbury, Connecticut. I'm here with Rob, Ricky.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Sup, dog?
You stumped Rob.
So what I do, I'm really like a craft compost facility.
Yeah.
Boutique, however you want to call it.
Yeah. Right.
Because I am limited on the feedstocks that I get brought in. So what I'll do is, my breakdown for my feedstocks are some are conventional and some are unique. So it's a sawdust-based horse manure, leaves, seasonal leaves. I have one company. So the food waste that I bring in, because I stopped taking food waste years ago because I was taking that in from grocery stores and some restaurants, and the contamination got out of control. You know, all the PLU stickers that are on the fruits and the vegetables, the rubber bands. It got to a point sometimes where
Plastics.
the contamination bill was more than the tip fee for the food. And then the generator is complaining to me, why is it so much? And I'll show it, we literally hand pick it. And you'll show them at the end of the day, this is the problem. This is why it took so long. So you need to educate your employees. And then they have a patented response. Well, I have $10 an hour people. They're not going to take the time to do it. I don't expect people to take the PLU stickers off, but you can take a rubber band, a twist tie, or whatever.
Yeah.
So the contamination got out of control. Plus being an outdoor facility, no coverage. I have tarps and stuff. This stuff would be blowing all over. So it just made for
Must have been a big
Oh, your
mess.
fucking neighbors must have hated you.
No,
Like a
they're
dump- like
actually
a
pretty
dump.
good. Yeah. It's
Fucking
yeah,
labels
the
all over
birds,
goddamn
the
place.
the birds. You
Must have
couldn't.
been a disaster.
Yeah, you couldn't screen material on a day that there was even a slight breeze, because those PLU stickers, it's like a ticker tape parade. They just fly in the wind. So the way I do everything from the process, from it starts at one end of the property and it works its way to the other end, and the finish is at one and the raw, say, is on the other. But when you're screening your finished material and the wind is blowing, it's getting all mixed in with everything.
So it was a total disaster.
It was a disaster.
Looked like a fucking Super Bowl victory.
Plus, plus restaurants too. A lot of the plastic
Rick
forks,
Super Bowl
plastic
party over his
utensils,
house.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of that crap. And it you know what it did? It started taking away too much time from the inevitable, which was making a product. So I made that hard decision to stop taking food waste, which I really thought I was going to shoot myself in the foot. Then I started working, I don't know if I could use their name or not, but fuck it, I will. Bigelow Tea.
I love Bigelow Tea.
Yeah, so I compost their tea waste.
Out of New York.
No, they're out of
Oh,
Fairfield,
they are? I
Connecticut.
just seen the commercial. I thought they were in New York.
Yeah, no, they're out of Connecticut. They have 2 locations, one in Connecticut and one in, I think, Idaho or something of that nature. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But so I take their tea waste, which is ground up. It's fine material. And I supplemented that as my food source. And it's a hell of a lot cleaner material. Smaller particle size, breaks down really quick. So for me, that's what I need. I need small particle size to get that material broken down, break it down really
compost
quick.
quicker.
Yes.
Faster,
And
right?
then I let biology take over. So my theory is get that material in, get it mixed according to my recipe, and then put it on the air, and I'll explain that in a second. So I get all that stuff mixed together and let it start breaking down. And after the first 30 days, because I'll keep it on an aeration system.
You got aerators in the pile?
I have it's called an aerated static pile. So basically I have aeration pipes underneath the piles. So I call it phase 1 of the composting process.
You just pump air under it?
Yeah, so the pipes are hooked to a diaphragm, the diaphragm's hooked to a blower, and the blower's hooked to a timer. And the timer is actually run by solar power. I mean, the blower is run by solar power.
Nice.
So I have a certain time frame that I'll run. So my time frame goes, the blower will turn on for 2 minutes and it shuts off for 28 minutes. And it does that morning, noon, and night for 30 days. So you basically don't touch it. That's the premise. So what are you doing is you're letting biology break that material down.
Take its course.
Right. So the biggest thing is you have air, you need porosity in a pile. Microbes got to breathe just like us. Oh. And the other my biggest thing that I need to,
oxygenating.
Yeah. My biggest thing is I have to get water on it because you lose about 2 to 3% moisture when the blowers constantly turn on. So you gotta put water on it. But yeah, at the end of the 30 days, I extract the pipes out and then I take it and I put it out in windrows.
So it goes to the next stage.
Yeah, I got a
so
quick
then it goes to
question. Is
phase 2.
oxygenating a word?
I don't know.
You
Is it?
just pulled that one out your ass, dude.
I don't know. See if you can get Rob to fucking look that one
So
up.
how'd you come up with the concoction for this?
For the recipe?
Yeah.
That was by chance. And a lot of it is
Trial and error?
It's what it comes down to, and it's composting at the end of the day. For me, I need to get there quicker because I'm a small facility, small space. I got to get it broken down and then I got to let that sit and cure and mature and stuff. But so there's a lot of back and forth, trying this, adding X amount more food waste and taking out, say, horse manure, so there was a lot of that. There's a lot of material that I expensed and it just went to the shit, literally. I couldn't use it. So
How much faster does the process move along by adding the air to the process?
So in so I run it on a 30-day cycle. I can do 21 days or I can do 30 days.
But if you
depending.
didn't add air to it, would it be like 60 days or 90 days for that first process?
It depending on what you're doing to turn the pile. You have to turn it.
Yep.
So whether you're using a skid steer to turn it, you're using a bigger front end loader to turn it. I originally started with a loader. I was using a front end loader. And what ends up happening is you got to imagine, you get your recipe all together and you have a really long, tall windrow. I'm turning it with a loader. So I'm essentially just picking it up and flipping it. But once you flip that pile, that center of that pile goes anaerobic. Because you got to remember, when you dump the pile on it, you're snuffing all the air out. So the core of that pile instantly goes anaerobic.
Oh, so you need the air to keep it fresh.
Right. So the premise of the aerated system is
it doesn't actually move the process along faster. It's something that needs to be done.
Right. Because,
the first step.
yeah, for me, my biggest thing is when I'm talking to a customer and they want to get educated on my product a little more, it's an aerated process. There's not a point in the process where it doesn't go anaerobic. I'm constantly keeping air in it.
From
Whether
the beginning to the end?
Yes. Yep. So on an aerated system, there's pipes staggered every 6 feet on there. So I'm getting air into the center of that pile. Whereas if you turned it with a loader, you're not. That's why it gets snuffed out and it goes anaerobic, which then brings on, harmful pathogens at some point. It can go foul odor on you. So there's a slew of things. But the biggest part is I'm not touching it. So the less you touch it, the better that material is going to be. And so
the biology can stay thriving.
Right. But the hard part for me is I do an aerated system and then I put it out into windrows and I hit it with a windrow turner. So now I'm breaking up that biology. It's kind of counterintuitive of what I want to do. But on an aerated system, if you look on my social media, I kind of show some different things with it. There are clumps in there. They have to get broken up. So with with a compost turner, when I lay it out in the rows, the compost turner is going to take those clumps and break them up. And if it's a tea waste or if there's a particle of food that's left, it will it'll get blended in and it'll fire that pile back up. So I'll get that pile back up to temperature where I need to kill pathogens and weed seeds. And that's in the industry, it's called PFRP. It's processed to further reduce pathogens. And you have to meet 131 degrees you have to turn it 5 times in 15 days on a windrow. If you're doing it that way, you have to meet 131 degrees for a minimum of 3 days on an aerated system.
To kill everything?
To kill harmful pathogens and weed seeds.
You don't want to buy some soil and have grass growing in it.
Yep. Or something else.
What else does it cook off? What else does it cook off in there? Like fertilizers and...
Well, the feedstocks I have, I don't have that in there, because I'm very selective. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the feedstocks. Is I didn't. So what I told you about, there's sawdust-based manure, there's leaves, the tea waste from Bigelow Tea. I use popped and unpopped popcorn from a pretty good large.
Is it Act 2?
What's that? Yeah.
It's got to be smart food.
No, it's a competitor though. I'll tell you that. And then, like I said, the food waste. The food waste I use is
Old Oroville.
It's what do you call it? It's eggplant shavings. That's my food waste. Huh. And some breadcrumbs and maybe some incidental
That's got a lot of nutrients in it. Eggplant.
Yeah, I mean the company I work with on that's one of their biggest bread and butters is that, and so I have. So
do they love you taking their old product?
Yeah, it helps them out because I get a small tip fee for some materials. I don't get them for all, just because I'm surrounded by some other compost facilities, and I don't compete against them, but you do compete against them. Of course. For the materials. So that's the hard part. So I do get a tip fee for some. I don't get for others. And the more of the conventional ones, I don't, because my biggest one is the sawdust-based horse manure. That is a key component in my recipe. And where I'm located, we don't have a lot of farms that use a sawdust-based horse manure.
Well, it's very acidic, right? You let that break down.
Well, it's not that. I need the small particle size.
Really?
Instead of hay-based.
Yeah. Well, our biggest thing is the wood shaving based. They use that for bedding. So that stuff takes forever to break down.
Okay.
And I'll run it through the cycle. I've done it before when I was first making some recipes. The wood shavings will break down, but by the time I go to sell that material, it actually looks like a mulch and not a compost. People want a soil. They want it to look like a soil. They're going to pay good money for something. They don't want it to look like a mulch. They need it to look like a soil. So that's how we changed. That's how we got into using a sawdust over wood shaving.
Is there like expiration date on it where it's like, hey, you want to get it within this certain time frame, or the longer it sits, the better?
On my end, as the manufacturer, the longer it sits, the better it gets. But once I put it into a bag, whether it's the 2-gallon bag, a cubic foot bag, a 1-yard sling bag, I always tell that customer to use it within a year's time. And with that comes, don't keep it in the sun, keep it out of the elements. because those are all contributing factors. The bags are polypropylene, minus that bag over there. That's a PLA lined bag, paper. That's going to decompose. But all that polypropylene will just start flaking apart. So I always tell them, use it within a year, but protect it.
Do you ever have any yards you just keep over there like a fine wine? You know what I mean? Your
Yeah.
top-notch stuff.
Yeah, I work on some of that stuff, and that's part of that product right there. So,
It's like a fine wine, dude.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
yeah, well, that's just it. The longer, the thing is, it's not a misconception. People are getting
Now, do
smarter.
you advertise that? This sat for X amount.
No.
This has been sitting for.
No, my biggest thing, what I tell my customers is, and this is one thing that I do guarantee, that material is at least a year old, and it's gone through. It's on an
Gone through
aerated
all the
system.
paces.
Yes. And the thing is, my product is also it's approved for organic use. So what that means is I use a company that I'm responsible for tracking temperatures. So every day, from when it goes on the air to when it goes, I check it for 30 days on the air, and then when I put it out in the windrows, I'll check it for probably a week or two. But I document all of that. So if you buy my compost and you say, Jeff, that was, it was obliterated in weed seeds or something happened, and I'll know the batch that I sold you.
Yeah, you can go back to
and I can go back and I can track it, and I can show the temperatures on it, and I'll be like, listen, I met temperature requirements and all that. And the company I use, Bay State Organic Certifiers, they do inspections on me as well. So
Okay,
they want to check
randoms.
my records.
So it's all on the internet, on your little database.
It's not on the
Well, I'm saying
actually,
your
it's on
base.
their site. Yeah.
On their site.
Yeah.
You go beep, 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 comes right up.
Yeah, I think I don't know if they put I don't think they put the I'm just listed on their site. So if you're like an organic vegetable grower and you wanted to use my product, you can go to Bay State's website, and then you could find my name will be on there. If you're an organic grower, you need to use
organic inputs.
and organic inputs. So even though my product I can't say I'm certified organic because they won't do that for compost. There's an organization that will, but I don't produce enough material in order to justify paying for that.
Okay.
But this is just like one of the next best things because there's accountability on my end. And so I have to keep track of all of that. And so if you're going to buy that, you know what you're getting.
Right.
Yeah, I don't, and honestly, like this year, it's you never know what the year is going to predict. As we were saying off camera, for last year was a great year, but I was dealing with larger cannabis facilities,
Coming
Connecticut, Connecticut and in Mass, and those were great. And I at that time I still had a couple retail locations, but then a few of the retailers, I'm at a higher price point. And I know at a retail establishment, price is one of the driving factors. And I can't compete on that national brand. There's no way, and I'm not trying to.
Because your stuff's more money. It's probably better, higher quality stuff.
Yeah. And I can't make it at the rate that they can do it. They have multiple facilities. I have one facility.
Yeah.
So they're competitors, but not competitors. That's how I kind of look at it. And so some of them drop off. Some of them stick around, and it is what it is. But now I deal more direct to consumer, with either a home gardener, either a vegetable farmer, a cannabis facility. I deal more directly with them, and like the small bags that you have sitting right there on the desk, those get shipped nationwide. So that was one reason I had done that. I sell that product right there, the Black 13, which is my newest compost I designed. It's high in calcium. I do it with the complete compost. I'll do it with our seed starter, and I'll do it with our potting soil. So
You cut that in.
I know. Too bad I couldn't sniff a little.
you can open it up if you want.
Do you have any of the competitive growers call you for that type of stuff? Like
If
got
they
the
do,
people
I don't know about
the people
it.
that grow the big pumpkins and who grows the biggest fucking
for the
tomatoes.
county
Oh, wait a
fair?
minute.
Yeah,
It's the Great
yeah,
Pumpkin,
yeah.
Charlie Brown.
Right?
So when did it really transition to the weed guys?
To the cannabis?
Yeah, to the cannabis industry.
That's what I was getting at.
Somebody got some of your soil, and they grew some great weed, and they were like, we need it.
Yeah,
And then from then
but you growing? How were you testing this stuff?
No, not me. No,
Yeah.
I stepped into this by accident. So it was an avenue I didn't really explore. It was an avenue I knew about. I knew shit was coming, especially in Connecticut. You know, the chatter was out there, and you know, legalization and all this other stuff. But it was just it just ended up. Obviously, it was. I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart.
He might be getting high too.
Yeah, right. Don't worry, it happens around here. All kinds of brain farts, methane flying around all over. Goddamn.
It was actually it was through social media. The guy found me in Connecticut, and then that person led me to a gentleman here in Massachusetts, and then that person led me to Plymouth County growers,
and so on and
so forth. And then
now you got a clientele.
Yeah.
People must be
It's
happy.
really just it was word of mouth. I don't put a lot into, which is probably not good. I didn't put a lot into marketing, you know, and
Well, when you got a good product,
Yeah, I don't think you have to,
things
though.
kind of sell
I think
themselves.
marketing's overrated sometimes.
it is. I mean, it's hard for me because in my world, I am competing against the larger brands, but I'm not competing with them. You know, I know I keep going back and forth to that. But I don't look at them as competitors. I look at those people as driving forces for me to make my product better.
Right.
What can I do to improve that product? My biggest competitor is myself. I will push and push and push myself to keep going. Like, I'm not even satisfied. Even though like that Black 13 sitting right there is my newest compost. It's like, what's next?
Right.
You know?
Getting ahead of it.
Yeah. Because, you know, once you go stagnant and once you go idle, the shit is going to fall apart at some point.
Right.
You know, you're going to somebody's going to come right from behind.
Well,
and
once you get to the top, there's only
with
one
the-
way to go. Once you get to the top, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you got to keep striving for better and better.
Yeah.
Did you say your customer was in Plymouth? A big customer?
Yes, Plymouth County growers in Kingston, Mass.
For the
Have we
fourth time.
tested them yet?
I don't think so. But how do you go from being just making compost to being in a commercial grow? There had to be somebody who grew your stuff
Yep.
on a small scale.
Can't disclose that.
But that was the person who
That's
called,
another
was
show.
like, "Hey, man, I use this guy's compost." Like,
Yeah, it was ironic. You know, the gentleman.
Freedom Rock. Hey, man, I heard about your soil, dude.
There was one company that I was gonna hopefully have a good relationship with, and it was actually through. I think it was through. I could be wrong. It's been a few years now, but I think it was through either Plymouth County growers or they bought a bag of my compost, I believe, from Plymouth County growers, and the facility was here in Mass. It was Holistic Health Group. Have you guys heard of them?
Yeah, I heard.
I don't know where they're from.
They're still around though, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, they were one of the ones who might have moved out. I don't.
So the head grower used my compost. He made a soil recipe, and he liked that compost. And then, unfortunately, the wheels came off the bus. He left the company. The new person in charge, they went back to doing salts because they can
Salts.
control it more. So
Right.
they wanted to push the living soil, the organic side, but it never transpired. That would have been. But my point is, that was just a word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know, he heard about my compost. He went and he purchased it. He tried it. And that's really how everything has really transpired is just by doing that. You know, my thing is if I can just make the best product I possibly can and it works for you guys, then you're a huge asset to me.
Right.
You know, if
All
I
that
make
matters.
shit soil, I'll never see you again.
Right.
You know, and you're going to bash it left and right. So,
Yeah, you lose
Yeah, my man.
customers.
and
my
you lose
man-
them quick. You lose
my
them
man
real
One
Cranberry
bad customer
does
saying
wonders.
bad review, you lose 10 customers at least.
Right. And that's the hard part. You know, it's funny. I know we're kind of I'm going to get off topic here in a real hot second, but you know, last year I think it's funny because like I was saying, you know, social media is my biggest advertisement and I'm right on that cusp because of my age. I'm like, I really don't want it, but
Yeah.
you need it.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of was missing that window, but I'm just there hanging on. I had a customer that bought some material. Shit hit the fan with it, right? I sent it out of
Good, in a
state.
good way.
No,
pun
not in a
intended.
good way. The soil was fine. It was the way it went from my facility. I'm not going to say the state, but it was somewhere, one of the states in New England. That's all I'm going to say on that because if they
What,
listen
they
to your
hijacked
show,
your
they're going
load?
to figure it out. No, they
They already figured it out right now.
they tried to pull a fast one on me, and I was hoping to work with these guys, younger guys.
Tried to give you the spritz.
Oh, there
Yeah.
was a weed
Damn, younger
license in
generation.
Mass.
I'm not saying a state, but it's in New England.
Yeah, and they gave you the fucking okie doke.
Well,
tried.
we kind of said, all right, well, let's do this. Can you send it here? Can we do this?
Rope-a-dope.
Anyhow, so long story short, my point is that they got the material. We worked it out. There was a little extra charge on certain things. We worked that out. They bitched about the price. Not the price of the material, but how the transportation
Fucking
aspect
modern
of it.
hippies.
They basically said to me that, the so-and-so, the guy who's the head grower, he's gonna ridicule you or blast you over social media. He's got a very reputable name.
So they bulldogged you.
Right. So I'm sitting there on the phone, and
And you're not even on social media at this point?
No,
Or-
I am. But my point is, and I think we can touch upon some of this stuff in a little bit, but with what I've experienced in life with my kids, this kid he's just rambling on the phone, and he's like, we're going to ruin your name. We're going to do this. And I'm like, okay,
Little punk.
go ahead. I said, go ahead, do it. It's not going to affect me to the
Probably gonna help
point
you.
you think it is. And I'm not going to give you that power to make you feel like that you're going to have that one
So
up
you're
on
like,
me.
fuck you.
Yeah. So
Good.
whether he scrutinized me on social media or not, I have no idea. And frankly, I don't care.
They didn't even see it.
Right. Because I always say people are bigger behind a computer than they are to your face.
Sure.
Everybody hides behind a
Did
computer.
you take a ride over there?
Yeah, it was a long drive.
I'm sure you did. You took a
I'd be
ride.
so pissed off I'd fucking run there.
You know what? I didn't.
Ricky, you haven't ran for anything in a while.
I was pissed.
I cannot stand these fucking reviews on social media. It's fucking bullshit.
Why, the dealership
bullshit.
getting dragged
All
in?
the fucking time, dude. And you know
Well,
what
they
it
had
is?
this thing called-
It's always over fucking price. Reviews to me used to be so you can get information.
like tits on a
Now
ball.
people use it for fucking bullshit.
Exactly.
That's not even the fucking truth. And then you're going to go on there and kiss their fucking ass. No, fuck you. I like the places that go in there and say, no, well, you're too fucking cheap. That's why you didn't fucking like it.
Oh, boy.
There's a donut place. I went in there and they had a fucking sign that somebody blasted them on the review. They said, come try the worst donut that somebody I've ever had. And I said, that's fucking awesome. Give me fucking a dozen of those motherfuckers.
How were the donuts?
They're fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
What
there
kind of
you go.
donuts were they?
Phenomenal.
Yep.
And then somebody, I didn't have time because I fucking hate reviews, but I should have gone on there and be like, hey, you're a moron.
What kind
This
of
fucking
donuts
donut
were
is
they, Rick?
Fantastic.
Were they Boston creams, glazed donuts, crullers?
Glazed. The best fucking glazed donut you'll get. It's like a Krispy Kreme.
What place is
steroids.
this?
Town Donuts.
What town?
Oh,
Dartmouth.
Jesus.
Town Donuts.
Town
It's a small
Donuts.
little
That's our
fucking
new
roll.
sponsor.
I think
Town
Ricky's
Donuts with
taking
Rick.
envelopes. He's been plugging everybody from
No,
his
I'm
barber
telling
to
you
his
right now,
fucking
listen.
to his
And
baker.
it's one of those. And when he runs out of donuts, he's like, "Yeah, fucking get here earlier next week."
Does he give you a rain
I
check?
fucking love that place. The fucking food is
Town
phenomenal.
Donuts in Dartmouth.
Oh, my bad.
Rick likes his donuts.
Yeah, Rick. See, I didn't like you.
Got me all
who
fired
did
up
that?
on donuts. I'm telling you, reviews are such fucking.
Somebody get
bullshit.
Rick a drink, will you?
Yeah.
No, I want to start a company that
He
fucking.
did. He walked over here with 3 beers before the show started.
Oh, I'm ready. But I think you need to have somebody fact check the reviews. Because you got people that go on there and just fucking throw bullshit.
Oh, yeah, the fact
Because
checkers,
you know
it's
what?
like 2
they
people
want
in a
something for
basement.
free the
It's
next
some
time.
kid in his basement fact checking. It doesn't even have a fucking car. It's playing PlayStation. You know what I mean?
What is it? How you say it, Rob? Living under the skirt?
No, it's called when you live in your mama's basement, you're living under the skirt. Like they even just dunked a couple of fact checkers. They were 2 people in a basement. I mean, fact checking for one of these major companies.
Yeah. It's a joke.
The fact is, don't believe anything till you see it.
That's right. Or try it
Go
yourself.
try it out for yourself.
Try it yourself. That's
All
right.
right. So anyway, on
Yeah.
this dirt, so you found a couple.
No, don't. Don't call it dirt.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
Soil.
Fucking
Soil.
bastard.
What's the difference between soil and dirt?
Yeah,
It's a bad.
God made dirt.
It's a bad term. Dirt
Soil.
is dead. Dirt is dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
soil
why
is
it's
living.
dirt. There you go. See,
Like in that
Okay.
movie with Pootie Tang. Remember Dirty D?
No.
I love that
No,
dirt.
not really, but-
Dirty
No,
D.
Did that movie come in color?
Pootie Tang.
I am not.
Can we hear
perfect.
about the worst flop disaster that you've had with soil?
You know what it came down to was when I started making. I think it was either the seed starter mix that I make or the potting soil. I can't remember which one, but I have to buy peat moss in volume.
They shut down peat moss
Canada.
for a while, right?
Well, no, they didn't shut it down, but
was
when I
expensive,
started
wasn't it?
experimenting and making small recipes, I'd just go to your local box store and buy the peat moss that was in the bale, which is fine. It's the same stuff. It's just branded differently, coming out of the peat box. So when I decided to make that plunge and buy a trailer load from, I have the distributor that I work with, but they get it. I get my peat moss comes out of New Brunswick. Canada. Yeah, and I buy it by the trailer load. I started making soil recipes, adding the peat moss in, and I just kept throwing batches away. So a trailer, I'm not going to tell you how much a trailer load is.
A lot.
Yeah,
Probably. Probably a lot.
You're talking thousands of dollars, right?
That was your worst hit?
Into the original recipe, like when I make my recipe.
Basically, you lost a lot of time doing that.
Lost a tremendous
Let him
amount of
answer
time.
the fucking question. Or?
And basically, I paid thousands of dollars for peat moss that I ended up losing
Right.
because it broke down in the compost process.
So you basically went to Harvard for a semester.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Education costs money.
And the thing is, people say, oh, like you're a success now, you're doing well.
Tell them about the failures.
And there's a million of them. Like I told you, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on failures, and nobody sees that except for my family.
Any guys
And
that's
they
a
felt
success, they see that.
100%.
Anybody that has
Yeah.
half a brain
Yeah.
knows anybody's successful like Trevor. He's had plenty of failures.
Yep.
And now he's successful. Rick, plenty of failures.
Oh,
Me, I'm the failurest of
Still
all.
failing.
Yeah.
I still fail too. You don't fail, you're not learning.
Show's not over.
Your failures are your greatest successes.
Jeff, take us
Where
through
you
one
get-
of your days. Like, what do you do? Like, obviously, you gotta, like, it seems like once you get this thing, you can almost like set it and forget it, and you go
And that's-
fuck around and go play some golf and
Right.
shit.
And honestly, you almost could. You could. Because some
Set it and forget it.
nice plug for Ron
wants to be
Popeil
on
right
the
there.
Commercial now.
I'm not trying to say it's easy. I'm just saying.
What
once
was
you
that?
get the
Was that for that
formula
turkey
and the
oven? What was
process
that called?
There's
You know what I mean?
there's a sign.
So you should be shooting. You should have a really low handicap right now.
Rick's always thinking about golf. Whatever this guy does, he equates
Is
everything
he
to
married
golf.
with kids too, or no?
Nah.
No. That's a different subject.
A lot of failed relationships.
A lot of bad experiments.
That's another show.
A lot of mulligans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have kids.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I do.
No. So
Maybe
essentially,
Just not married. Just not
Okay,
married.
all right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Finally
yeah.
found the one.
There you go.
Has your soil won any of the competitions with any of the growers?
I believe you guys have.
Yeah, Cranberry, 420.
Yeah, where is he over there?
Yeah, he's hiding.
Yeah.
Oh,
You should make
little
a guest
Cranberry. I
appearance.
think he's in his Oompa Loompa
He
suit
could tell
over
you a
there.
little bit more about it because I don't know what he did.
Yeah, he don't like to come on the camera, but yeah, he won.
He's
We won the
camera
We'll get
X
him
shy.
Cup.
over here.
We had him one time.
Yeah, we won the
shy.
X Cup down in Connecticut with it. He won. Nican second place. The highest terps at Nican. That he schooled the other kid to grow with it. That he uses your compost in the mix.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, in the living soil. Changed
Yeah.
him over from a hydro grower to a
Good.
living soil.
Yeah.
And then there was a second place at, what was the other one? Terp Down? No, not Terp Down. The Harvest Cup. Harvest Cup at the DCU. He got second place, Mercy
Willy Wonka
category.
Cup.
So yeah, the stuff does.
But you add your twist to
It's
it, though.
award winning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
so
does.
I mean,
I don't
I'm-
have anything to do with
Right,
it.
right.
I'm
right,
not the guy.
Right. But the thing is, I give it that foundation. I give it that. Like I said, it's the complexity of the feedstocks that I use, the time it takes to make it, and how it's made.
Takes a
And
lot
those
of
are
time.
all key factors into making a quality compost. And again, there's a lot of good companies out there that are doing it. It's just we're on a small scale, so you don't hear a lot about us.
And they use it, and it does pass all the full metals, the heavy metals test,
Yep.
microbial test.
Yep.
Now, Jeff,
Which
you
this-
package it as well, everything? You do everything from beginning to end?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
help?
No, I'll get some seasonal help here and there. Like in the pandemic era, I had my son. He was home from college, so he helped out. My younger son helped out.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
You got the boys down there working?
Yeah, because they had nothing else to do. So, and my wife's a teacher, so she was home. She had to teach. So my youngest at the time, he it was go on the computer, do your time, and that was it. So they had to get out of the house. So I put their asses to work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Was there production? That's
Down
a
there
different
in the
That's why
story.
you have kids.
Yeah, I should show you a picture. I don't even know if I have it on my phone. It's you would die laughing. Maybe I'll find it after the show here.
Yeah,
but
send
I
it
have,
to Lee.
Yeah, I have my oldest is filling a sling bag because I didn't have the equipment that I have nowadays to fill them. So my oldest was filling a sling bag, and my youngest
hand.
and my youngest is sitting on the tractor sleeping.
Oh yeah.
And
There's
I sent
always
it to my
one.
wife, and I'm like, this is here we go.
Yeah.
This is a
Memories.
future right here.
Yeah, right. You're
Love
right.
him to death, but I was like, oh my God.
Did he punch out for that nap? He's still.
I was going to punch him
Question is,
out.
did he punch in?
Yeah. Oh, he still wanted his pay, believe me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like for what I do and the way I do it, it takes time. You can't rush it. If you rush it, then you're going to run into problems. And that's sometimes what happens because especially on a larger scale facility, you have people you have to report to. You know, you have investors or but not even at that level. So you have, as long as you can meet requirements, you have an NLP, which is called the National Organic Practice, I believe. Sorry. As long as you meet those parameters, it can be called finished compost, and it's got a long way to go. It still has to stabilize a little bit more. I always tell people, if you go to a facility and they dig into the pile and there's a ton of steam, it's not broken down. So it's probably stable, but it's not, where, like for me, where I would call it really stable. So you're paying for something that's still going to break down, which then could be the pile could still be hot, which if you're going to plant with it, you're going to mix it in. You can dilute it and it will help, but you're not getting the available nutrients like if it was a really mature, stable product.
Right.
So when you
And
bag it, obviously has to be a certain temperature, right? You can't put it in at a.
No,
doesn't
I don't.
matter?
No, my temperatures when you have a finished compost, you're right around ambient temperatures, give or
yeah, you're
take.
chilling.
When all the reaction is done, you saying?
Yep, it's
You're
stable.
neutral?
Everything's broken down
Yeah,
and
I
it's
get it.
stable.
I get
'Cause
that.
So it's like ambient
The
temperature.
biology's starting to build back, right, at them temperatures.
Well, it's
neutral.
When it starts cooling
stabilizing.
down.
Yeah. So what it's doing is it's
no more
stabilizing.
reaction.
And then when you put a plant in it or use it as an amendment, and there's that correspondence between the plant and the microorganisms, those nutrients are now available. They're not tied up. They're not locked up because the material doesn't need to break down anymore.
Right.
So
Broken
it's
down.
ready
it's
to go.
already
All the
broken
way.
down. That's why for me it takes so long. And for my customer base who is cannabis, vegetable, home growers, they don't have
They only have a certain window.
correct. Right. So you got to get that material in and you got to get it to
Springtime.
you have to get it to acclimate to the soil or whatever if you're making a soil recipe or to your garden. It's not going to acclimate instantly, but it'll be
How
quicker
long does it
when
usually
you
take?
What's that?
How long does it usually take?
It all varies. Like
Depth,
soil microbes go
amount.
dormant. They're usually dormant around up to about 55 degrees.
Really?
They don't die, they go dormant.
Like
So
the
do you
grass
just keep
always grows
making
even when it
batches,
gets
Jeff?
cold.
So
In the
it's like,
winter?
I just want in the winter or whenever.
Oh,
you just
year
keep
round.
Yeah. Year round. So you just
Yeah.
keep making them.
Yep. And things slow in the wintertime because now I don't have the insulating blanket of the outside temperatures. Like now, we're 80, 90 degrees. I don't have that heat pushing on the outside of the piles. So
Going
that
from the
will
inside
really,
out.
Yeah. So what happens is, I can really cook my material almost to the edges. You're not going to get to the edge, but I can almost cook it to the edge. But come wintertime, when you have, like where I'm located, I have prevailing winds.
You're trying to keep
and
it
hits
warm,
one
huh?
side, and I will literally have a side of my pile. If it gets cold, it'll freeze almost like a foot. So that's just, it's
Plus
not
your air-
dead, but it's just
What
not
do you do
breaking
about
down.
that? Just the way it is?
It's just
Slow.
the way it goes.
Put a top
it's
on
a
it?
timely process.
You put a top
no,
on it
I have
sometimes?
tarps. I have tarps on for my material.
The winter can be brutal, huh?
But what about the air
Yeah.
you're blowing in there? That's colder too, right?
What's that?
The air that you're blowing
Oh
in
yeah,
there. Now.
especially in prevailing winds.
So dumb
It's
question. Can
constantly
you ever
getting
bring
hit.
it indoors?
What's that?
Can you ever bring it indoors?
No,
So you
because
had a
I
big
don't
enough-
have to compost.
Yeah.
No, because I'm not permitted to do that. So if you have it in Connecticut, you would need a permit to do indoor. Then everything has to be indoors or covered.
So people that do it indoors, do you think they lose quality? Or is it still the same process?
No,
Because you don't get the national elements.
The one that I can think of, which isn't far from my location, they're a national brand and they're all indoors. The benefit is that they can control the elements, but they also have to they sell to mass merchandise, so they have to get that material in, process it, meet standards, and send it out by a certain time.
I wonder if they have mold. Got mold in their dirt.
We had the king of mold in here last show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can of clean.
It was, it was amazing.
That was actually a great show. It was very educational.
The one I
About what
couldn't
you
read. I was so
smoke and-
steamed.
That's the fog that you had earlier. Everybody gets it when they come on the show. You're literally fogged out. You're like,
Oh yeah,
it's not a brain fart. It's a fucking.
I will attest to that.
Yeah,
It's not bad. I'm not. I don't judge. I do not
Yeah.
judge at all.
whatever.
It's brain cells leaving your fucking body.
Yeah. You were wrong last week,
Yeah.
Ricky. There wasn't just one mannequin bear, as it was two.
Yeah, I never knew. Like I said, I never knew there was this much of soil
Yeah.
and the time that you put in. So it's basically you put every day into this.
Yes. Yeah, and again, that's stuff that people don't see. You know, I try and portray that through social media just so people can get a little bit more educated. They can get a little bit more of an understanding of what goes into it. Because if they don't, no, thank you. If
That's
they
once in a while we got to get them buzzed up first.
Yeah.
remember, I'm 3 hours away.
Yeah. We thank you for coming out.
No,
We don't want
my
you flying
pleasure.
home.
Yeah, I probably would be. I try and give people the perspective that it's not just a turnkey type of.
It definitely sounds like it's not.
No, there's a lot to it, and you know the other thing too is compost can go hydrophobic, just like peat moss. It can all go hydrophobic. When it goes hydrophobic, you got to set. There's a lot of time. You don't
could be
want
a
that to happen.
problem.
Right. So there's so much to it, and I try and explain that to people and show it through social media and or if they're a new customer, explain it to them. But some people are so fixated on price that you can't get through to them.
Yeah, you got to throw them out.
Yeah.
Fucking throw them
Yeah.
out.
Their
Yeah, Ricky
attention
doesn't deal
span
with
is
them.
limited.
Right out.
And that's the other thing too.
Throw 'em right
Yes.
out.
People
Yeah.
don't have long
You know what
attention
you do
span.
when
You
you
got to
pass
grab
away?
them
You
quick.
send a bag of dirt to their family. So they spread it on their fucking.
You got to. They
Yeah.
don't have a long span at all. You got to
Right.
grab them real quick.
Yeah.
Make it simple. Wrap it up. Sell it. There you
Yeah.
go.
And
Yeah.
those people with price, you just send them a bag of dirt when they pass away.
You got a problem with price? You send them to Rick.
Yeah,
He'll
not
fix
so
your
Straighten
ass.
them out. Oh yeah, I've gotten that.
Rick will
idea.
fix you.
Yeah.
The
But
price will be double.
I built that
Oh,
business.
my
I
God.
built that reputation where the price isn't the issue.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's I can't produce enough for them, or they need it in a timely fashion. I can't do that. That's what hurts my business. But my customer base is really good. It's really strong. It's not a huge customer base, nor I don't want that. I have
You probably don't need it.
No, and I have really good customers, but they understand.
What
know?
it's like
See,
so
that's
some
good,
of your
'cause you can keep
customers.
building that type of clientele.
And that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
And somebody
Yeah.
that comes in with price, you're like, like we
Right.
discussed before. Like, hey, I'm not for you.
Yeah, don't
Home
worry
Depot's
about the
right down
carpet, Rick. There's
Yeah.
ash on that. But,
Ship them.
but anyway,
Hey, clean up on that one.
Ship them.
but Jeff,
Clean up that one.
of some of your cannabis growers, customers that are coming to you, what are some of the concerns that they have that they ask about your product if they're looking to buy to use your compost?
Yeah,
in their
I mean,
mix?
one of them is weed seeds because they
Okay.
might have had a bad experience with another company.
Okay.
So that's a concern.
They ask you about heavy metals testing or pesticides.
They do, and that's kind of
Panel.
where like on a home grower side, they're not concerned with that.
No.
And nor they don't need to be.
Commercial
but
side, probably.
the commercial side, 100%. They have to
And
be.
you have all those stats, and boom, here you go.
Yeah, and usually what I do is, I'll leave it up to that grower. If like on a commercial side,
Right.
I'll give you a sample. If you want to come down, you can come down. We
Yeah.
can talk about it. You can see it. I always say you should put your eyes on what you're paying for. Now,
Right.
not everybody can make it to my facility. I understand that, but if you're going to spend good money on something, and I always
Yeah, I was-
welcome people.
I was just going to say that if you're spending that kind of money, you should
Right.
be doing your
You
own
sh-
research
and you
anyway.
should.
But
Absolutely. So I have no crosses to bear. I let the people, if you want to come down, I'll be more than happy to show you. But no, on the commercial side, I'll give them a sample and they can test it. And they can make
That's
their
on
own
them.
That's on them. Because I'll deal with a couple different cannabis facilities. They use different labs. And different labs test differently. And that's,
Yeah, well,
that's
they
again,
wanna-
that's
they
out of my
wanna
hands.
test
That's a whole-
themselves
that's a whole
anyway.
nother-
It's a whole nother thing.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother show.
yeah, you pick the lab. You
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yep.
want to test them themselves anyway because nobody believes anybody anyway. You know what I mean? That's usually what it is.
So, I like to think, I like to have my customers feel that I am really taking that extra step.
It
That
sounds like
pride.
you are.
You know the
Yeah.
sources where everything's
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah.
Keeping it tight.
Right.
Not wanting to get too big to water down the product.
Right. And that's just it, like I say, you're going to do quantity, your quality is going to go. Something has to sacrifice.
Right.
And greed at some point takes over and it ruins a lot
What's
of
the
things.
refresh every year? How much of that soil do I have to replenish to make the soil as good as what it was?
Well, that's where I say, smaller is better. Start at a small quantity because you can always add more. Now, do I know what the nutrient uptake of a cannabis plant is? No. Do I know what it is of a vegetable plant? I don't. You have cannabis is a heavy feeding plant.
Yeah.
Tomatoes are heavy feeding plants. If you do a sap analysis, then you're going to be able to see really what that plant is taking up. Right. But I can't, it's like my compost isn't going to say, and again, just using this as an example, say it pulled a lot of calcium out, which it would. I mean, calcium is like the mother of all nutrients, but you gotta put that calcium back. So I always say just start at less is more, and you can always add to it. So I always shoot for, like, if you're gonna top dress, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and start with that. Okay. If you're gonna do that, the other thing too is there's a lot of there's nutrients that are mobile and immobile, and at some point, like calcium, for example, is a large molecule. It creates airspace, but it moves and it goes down. So if you want to every year take a sample of your soil and say you're reading, and again, I'm just going to throw this out there, it's like a calcium, just say you're 6,700 parts per million, right, on your calcium, and that's at, say, a 1 inch layer. And then, but what's going to happen over the years, calcium is going to move down, and you're going to start
heavier than the dirt.
Right. It's a heavier molecule and it's going to move. It's mobile. And so what'll happen is you'll start taking samples at 1 inch layer, 2 inch layer, and you're going to show very little, very little, very little. And then your calcium is sitting at the bottom. So now your plant needs calcium and now it doesn't have it. So you can either go in and you can flip the soil, because you could take that because you have till and no till, and that's a whole nother discussion. But you could literally go in there and I call it intelligent tillage. Go in there and flip the soil, and you basically put that calcium back on the top layer, and then it's going to work
its way back down there,
and it works itself back down. But you have to replenish it, and that's why I say just start little. Little goes. Don't go in there and hammer it 3 inches. You're wasting money. And
that's amazing. You send this all over the place.
Yeah. Yep.
Black number 13. Why the number 13?
Because it's just odd with a 4-leaf clover.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
behind it. So in life, we've had a lot of different things going for us, against us, and all that. So it's kind of like it's a play on words,
right?
Because you have the luck of the Irish, which we are not Irish, even though my kids are have Irish names. Yeah. We are not Irish, but 13, people use it as,
unlucky number,
it's unlucky.
Friday the 13th.
Right. So it was just literally a play on words, and it kind of stuck. But that product right there is really designed. I designed that. So I designed that. I worked with a gentleman named Matt LaPlante. He's out of Vermont. Some people probably know him. He's a phenomenal, very educated, very smart individual. He helped me with that product. And really, I designed that for cannabis because cannabis is a heavy feeding plant.
Is that a grower, this guy in Vermont?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Matt LaPlante. I think his biggest social media, I think, is Smoke Ranch. I think he's got a couple, but I think that's his biggest one. But really nice, great guy. Helped me out with that, and that's what it was really designed for. And then it's developed on its own.
You think more of the cannabis industry is going to come online and start to change the soil, or you think?
I would hope. A couple people that I was introduced early on when I started the product started moving. I had one guy, he was doing synthetics and he went to living soil, and I'm not big into the industry, but he said the smoke was different, the flavor was different. And the other thing too, at the end of the day, do you want to inhale something that has good biology, or do you want to inhale something that's just got synthetic crap in it, I guess is the best way of putting it. So, but on the flip side, there are people that don't understand organics and they don't understand the
They just
mentality
want to get
behind it.
high.
Well, they're so used to dialing things in, and I cast no judgment on that. I'm not saying that, but I think there's just truly something different. It's no different than the nutritional value of your vegetable if you grow it in a good soil than say something you buy at a grocery store. There's
The
definitely
flavor, it's savory.
100%, right, and it's no different. Why should cannabis be any different? But it's hard. I mean, when you do it at scale, it's a lot of soil. I mean, it can be done. I know there's a handful of people that do it that I know on a personal level, but there's a lot more that are out there, and you can do it. You just got to be willing to commit to doing it, and some aren't, and that's why they try it, and then they're like, no, this doesn't work. I'm going to go back to the way it was. I can't fault them for it. It's
Right.
just human nature, but I just think if you add a good soil, good biology, and you're going to inhale it or eat it, whatever you want to grow, you're only benefiting your own health at the end of the day.
And you're really not trying to push it. So you're not even like going to these growers that are growing in synthetics and showing them like the whole cost effectiveness.
No, because sometimes you can't get somebody to, it's like trying to reinvent the wheel. You're climbing an uphill battle you're never going to get to.
You don't need that. You don't have time for that. Just like
No,
waste your time.
and I would give everybody the time of the day, but there are some people that I've had conversations with that I just can't get through to that actually come to me. So it's not like I was going out to them. So you just, when to cut your losses, really. And if they really want to do it, then they'll do it or they'll try it. And if they don't, then it is what it is. I mean,
yeah, because you have no problem selling it. So
Jeff, you're like that sandwich shop that makes X amount of sandwiches. If you don't get there on time, you're fucked.
yes, exactly.
And that's good. Those businesses do phenomenal.
Yeah.
You think
And
about
they
it, they're
do.
the ones that are around the longest.
Right. I've self-funded everything. I didn't have any investors or anything. So there's, again, and this is the other side of the business that people don't realize, when like in 2008, when the market crashed, I'm a luxury item. So I went right with it. So my business, I almost lost the business.
You were right in the wind.
Oh yeah. And it was hard. And then, you rebuild from that, you come back from that. So I've obviously I've taken out some business loans, but
did you change your marketing after 2008? Was it just back to the same thing you knew?
it was kind of back to doing what I was doing, but then I just entered into that cannabis world that, I wasn't really privy to.
So none of these guys are coming back after growing some dank shit and like, hey,
some are, but then some, listen, the way I go with the economy, and when things get tight, they're gonna buy an $18 bag of compost to a $5 bag.
well, I'm just saying you must have smoked some good weed. Like if these guys, like I would think if I got my compost from you, I'd be like, hey man, this is what turned
Right.
out.
And I do. And my wife is funny about it because at the time it's fine. I can say it, but my son was in college at the time, and and with the health issues that he's had, he's got to be very careful with certain things. And we're not going to take life away from him. Right. He's earned every second that he has. But my wife was like, don't be buying any of that shit weed. She's like, you grab some stuff from your father. And I don't smoke a lot. I smoke hardly any. I've had more stuff that customers have given me that I'm like,
This guy's got a little
what the
weed
fuck do I do with it?
arsenal.
So my son's like, I'm like, are you taking shit? Just tell me if you're I don't care if you're taking it, but just let me know.
Yeah,
Probably had a good
So I've given some
selection.
to my friends, and I'm like, dude,
It's like leaving the change out on the counter. It's like,
Yeah.
I had like $7.
Yeah. So
Hands in the cookie jar.
Yeah, right.
but I do. I've had customers giving me stuff, and and they're like, no, man, this is from what I grew in your stuff, and I'm like, I appreciate that, but you did the legwork.
Right. Right.
I can only take a small amount of credit.
Yeah.
And it's humbling. Don't get me wrong. But it's also, the fruit of my labor is actually, what they're getting out of it.
Yeah.
And to see that reward is awesome. I mean,
Right.
I
So these
like to
guys
see
keep
that.
coming back and buying more soil year after year.
Yeah, usually. I mean, I don't. The big scale is it's at a different level. So, but it's more the home growers. They'll come back,
Yeah.
because they'll just replenish every year and stuff like that. So,
Say I
the
got
black
like
market.
yeah,
say I got like a 30 by 30 garden out in my yard. Like, what would I need? Like a yard or two of
Yeah,
that?
well, go on
go
his
to
website.
newenglandcompost.com.
No, go on his
//
website
calculator.
and put it.
Oh,
I
is the
seen it.
calculator
I got a
there?
calculator on
There's
my
a
website.
calculator in there. I seen it.
Oh no! Tell you how much to buy.
I
That's
put
what
in-
I was
Yes.
trying to get at earlier when he was
Yes.
trying to ask the question, like how much should I add to a yard like this? I was like,
Yeah,
I put in
they got to
20 by
know by.
20.
I make it simple for you because you can put, your dimensions and however thick you want to put it. 1 inch, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will break everything down for you. So it takes me out of the equation.
Yeah.
I do still do it for some people,
Yeah.
but because they have other questions they want to ask on top of it and stuff. But for the most part, if you really want to get in, and figure out how much you need, and then I say, well, we are human, so there's a plus minus factor. You got to figure that. We can't take, and level it
Yeah,
out
but like
perfectly.
normally,
Just
It'll
write a
give you
big
an idea.
check, basically.
Yeah, it'll give you an
Write
idea.
an
Big
inch or two.
check.
yeah, but you should probably only put like an inch of that stuff on
That's
there or
it.
something, right?
Yeah, that's it. You don't have to overdo it. You're wasting money.
Yeah.
That's just it. You don't.
Because you feed the soil, and then
Not
the
the
soil
plant.
feeds the plant.
Correct.
That's why they say that, right?
Right. And the thing is, you don't. Again, less is more. I know it's all these little cliche
Yep.
things that I keep
Yep.
reiterating, but you can always add more.
Hey, Rick,
you
how
can't
about
you can't
at your
take
house?
more out.
Remember your beach house? How much soil will we need over there?
It was small, probably like one bag.
I'm just saying, it was all sand. How much do we need over there
bag.
ratio?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get some nice grass growing if you just had sand. That's the beauty of compost.
Dude.
What it will do, it's amazing. So,
Really?
100%. You got to look at sand as like it's
That's
a di-
basically Massachusetts.
I know. Sand is diuretic. It just water goes right through it.
What's the ratio with, like, if I had, okay, let's
depends
say
on what
I
your
had,
pH is and what you're trying to grow.
right?
All right.
I don't know, cucumbers, tomatoes, maybe some honey melons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, you could change the chemistry of sand and make it into a usable soil by adding
go, Rick.
compost. Absolutely. That's
Rick's
the
got a
beauty. It's one of the
sandbox over there.
characteristics.
Yeah, that thing left in one of his relationships, too.
He got quiet.
Next question.
It was beautiful, though.
Ooh, I think
Nice
we hit a
sand.
nerve.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, you can
Sorry,
really
man. I just met you too. I apologize.
No,
No, you
Rick's
don't have to
all right.
apologize to me. It was actually good. That's great material.
It's good. I think we touched everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you got any other questions, hit me up. I mean,
No, I think
there's
that.
nothing, no stone unturned here.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, though. It's just how even, it's like, I
Can
know
we
you
talk
like to
about
hear the
Rick's
word, but
lawn
it's like
now?
dirt, right? That's a bad word.
You would
too,
never-
but,
no,
you
I know,
right,
I know.
but-
We're just
but
poking
But it's
fun.
just like, where it starts, right? Everybody talks
Right.
about the seeds and, the whatever, the strands and all the other stuff. But, you can make it even better with great soil.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a plant's got its own genetic potential. You're not going to push it beyond what it is, but you can get the expressions out of it with a healthier soil.
All right, well, it was, we had a good time today with about,
Yeah.
the,
Thanks for coming on.
No, my
Soil,
pleasure. I appreciate
soil.
it very much. It was great.
Thanks for making
That's
the
a
drive.
wrap.
Yeah, it was well worth it. It was perfect.
Yeah, Jeff, New England Compost, newenglandcompost.com.
Yep. Instagram is any compost. Phone is 203-748-6516.
And remember, it's soil, not dirt.
Correct. You're free to go.
That's a wrap.
Wrap it.
How you
Perfect.
doing?
Put a
That's
rubber on
perfect.
it.
I got to roll up a wood here.
Wake up in the morning, got a bag on my schedule. Niggas talking, bitches talking, they is not on my level. Check the time, wrist rolling, rose gold on the bezel. Grab my keys and get my cell and hit the door with a shovel. It's time to get it out the mud, 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 out the mud. It's time to get it.